and welcome back to the AutoKnerd podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Sardone, and today's episode is designed intentionally to sting a little. But before we jump into all of that stuff, just recently, I have finally acquired the time to start migrating all of these podcasts to one location. That's going to be AutoKnerd.com. You can go ahead and plop that right into your little Google box there. Just www.AutoKnerd.com. And you'll see where all the podcasts are. Just so you know, on Saturdays and occasionally during the week when I have the ability to, but definitely Saturday mornings, I send out a Saturday morning booster. It's to give you that little uplift that you need first thing in the morning on Saturdays so you can go ahead and tackle that weekly holiday of ours. So take some time, head on over to AutoKnerd.com or just www.AutoKnerd.com. I'm a little excited about that because it was broken and I got it working today. So head on over there, sign up for that newsletter. And once you do, I will send you information once a week on how to go ahead and simply level up. And you'll also get the podcast a little bit earlier than the average person that isn't signed up for that kind of thing. So as far as that, head over there, get that information. Today, we're going to be diving into something that eats every sales consultant alive at one point or another. It's something that we all have to deal with. And if you're not careful, it'll wreck your career one car deal at a time. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is called ego. It's not confidence. We're not going to be talking about swagger. We're talking about ego today. It's that little voice inside your head that wants to be right more than it actually wants to be rich. The one that the customer, it jumps out and says, hey, the customer's lucky to be dealing with me. We all have that voice. And it's that voice that gets defensive when somebody asks a simple question. And also the one that would rather win the deal rather than build a relationship. The ego is something that all of us walk around every single day at the dealership with. And we either wear it on our sleeves or we pack it away and never really bring it out. It needs to balance. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to kick it off with a little story about my buddy Mike. Years ago, I watched this guy on the showroom floor. And he was sharp. He could close with one arm tied behind his back. The guy did a great job. He's a smooth talker, knew his product inside and out. But every time a customer challenged him on price, features, or even something as small as does it come in blue, you could see it on his face. His shoulders stiffened. His smile would turn fake. His voice dropped half an octave like he was gearing up to simply go ahead and take the person down on the other side of the table. This was just how he is. People would sit down at his desk and just not really like his vibe. It was just who he was. Sadly, he could close, but he couldn't close at gross. Customers weren't leaving because he was wrong. Rarely he was. He usually was dead on right every single time. He knew his stuff. But his ego couldn't take the idea that the customer might know something or might need something that didn't fit his little idea of a perfect sale. You could see it clear as day when you would work with him. The ego was louder than empathy. And when the ego is louder than empathy, this is when we start to have the customer fill their value proposition in the areas of, let's say, like negotiations. So they feel better simply because they got a deal on the car, rather than feeling better because they worked with a great person. You see, empathy always wins every single time. Again, people do business with people they know and trust, and that mantra will never change. So what does ego actually look like? Let's break it down. Ego on the showroom floor has a lot of different faces. It's not just simply puffing out your chest and looking at your watch all the time, being the alpha wolf nonsense. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the little things. You become defensive, insecure, and it wears all sorts of disguises. Some of the areas that you can see it just pop out is constantly correcting the customer. This was an issue that I had for probably my second and third year in the business. I still carried that every so often throughout my life. It's just something you have to keep in check. Then also bragging about the units that you sold, usually year to date, because this usually comes from the person that's only 3 cars in the month at the 20th, but I've sold 800 this year. It's like, nah, dude, that really doesn't count this month. And then also interpreting the client's story to educate them. And just not really feeling it. Rushing the close because you know where this is going. And the customer, they don't want to skip those steps. They need to go ahead and get that stuff done. Or downplaying objections because you don't want to deal with the rejection that ultimately you'll have to deal with at one point or another. So at its core, ego is the fear. At its core, ego is just fear wearing fancy clothes. The fear of being wrong, the fear of losing control, and the feel of looking weak in certain situations. Here's the twist. Ego doesn't protect you, it exposes you. And when you wear it on your sleeves like that, correcting the customer, interrupting them constantly, skipping steps, all of the sudden, you'll see that people will look at you and they just simply won't want to be around you. Ego's a tough one, but again, you got to take a look at it. Let's talk psychology for a minute. Ego, in the Freudian sense, is the part of the mind that mediates between your base instincts and your higher self. It helps you navigate the world and it helps you just get through this thing. But in the world of car sales, ego often becomes our defense mechanism. We put it up as a wall. It's a way to buffer ourselves from the chaos of rejection, competition, and unpredictability. And I get it. You pour your life into your job because it's what we get up and do every single day. It's where we spend the majority of our waking hours. You want to be seen, you want to be respected, and you want to win, and you do what you can to get to that next level every single day. But when ego takes the wheel, it turns every customer into a threat for us. Their questions become an attack, their hesitations become insults, their research is a challenge to our authority, and it's exhausting. And worse, it's killing our deals. Because here's what ego does to trust. It makes the customer feel like they're not being heard. It shifts the focus from them back onto you. It's almost as though you're just simply talking about yourself. It creates an invisible power struggle that no one really actually wanted in the first place. Because when this bubbles up, keep in mind, the customer's not asking for your problems. They're asking for a car and they're just looking for somebody to buy it from. But think about this. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone clearly just wanted to prove they were smarter than you? Did you end up trusting them? Did you feel like you could trust them? Did you feel seen or did you feel like they were just showing themselves off? Did you check out and simply just start counting the seconds until you could leave? Your customer feels that when our ego tends to shine. Trust isn't built on being right. It's built on making someone feel safe and feel seen and respected along the way. Ego actually kills all three of these things. When someone doesn't feel safe, when they don't feel seen, and they don't feel respected, they basically put their two center fingers in the air and they want to just simply walk away. And many times, they do. Now let's flip the script. I want you to imagine a sales consultant. Let's name them Jamie. Jamie doesn't brag. Jamie doesn't rush. Jamie listens more than Jamie talks. When a customer says, I saw a model online with different wheels, she doesn't go ahead and correct them. Jamie simply says something to the effect of, the car comes in a lot of different ways and a lot of different packages. Let me pull those up and do a little bit of research and figure out what you're actually looking at there. When the customer goes ahead and says, I'm just looking, she doesn't roll her eyes. She simply just smiles and says, perfect. That means I've got a little bit more time to help you explore some options and find the right vehicle without having any pressure. And guess what? Jamie closes. Again, a lot. Just at the same rate as Mike. The biggest difference here is that Jamie has the gas to keep the positive outlook when she comes into the dealership in the morning. She lives her life day to day in a much happier place because she's simply committed to taking that ego and squashing it and checking in with her customers and letting empathy lead first. Because when it comes down to Jamie, she's not fighting the customer. She's made it a commitment to partner with them. It's an entirely different idea when it comes to selling, but to work hand in hand with the customer and let them know, hey, I'm not here to fight you. It's just, there's a lot that goes on with these vehicles, and I tend to know a thing or two about them. It's the exact opposite of ego. That's humility. That's her, again, using empathy and having kindness and caring come forward first. But this leads us down the topic of needing to deal with what exactly humility is. Humility doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean you don't know your stuff. It means that you're confident enough not to make the moment simply about you. It means that you can let the customer lead for a quick second here without freaking out and going off the deep end. It means you can hear, I need to think about it without taking it personally. It means that you can be curious instead of defensive. Curiosity, that's what builds trust, like nothing else. And when you allow the customer to be curious and realize that, hey, I can go ahead and provide you the roadmap to your curiosity, Now you're starting on the path to building even more trust. Let's get tactical. How do you know when ego is creeping on in? Here are some quick signals for you. You feel the urge to talk over someone. You're mentally prepping your comeback while they're speaking, and they're not even finished. You find yourself needing to win the conversation. You're judging customers' intelligence, lifestyle, and budget in the back of your brain. You feel insulted when they say no. When that happens, take a pause, take a breath, and reset. And ask yourself a very simple question. Am I trying to help this person make a great decision, or am I trying to prove something to them or potentially myself? That one question can change your entire posture of the conversation. Now let's talk leadership. If you're a sales manager or dealer principal, listen to this. Your ego sets the tone of the whole store, of your dealer group. If your meetings are just you talking, your team learns to posture instead of listen. If you punish vulnerability, they learn how to hide weakness and find fake confidence. You'll never know who's the great sales consultant out there who can go ahead and move the cars, other than what's on paper. You're freezing their potential. If you make it all about the numbers and heat maps and things like this and closing ratios, they stop thinking about people and they start thinking about the system. They start thinking about the paycheck and putting the cart before the horse. And we all know if you tell the horse to push, its neck breaks. They're not built for doing that, and neither is the sales process. Ego isn't just personal, it's culture. So if you want a team that earns trust, model humility. Reward people that exhibit empathy. It's a rare thing in our business. Celebrate how the sale was made, not just that it was made in the first place, but how exactly that deal went down. Here's a weird truth about the past 25 years in the business. I've observed the best closers in this business that I've ever met aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. They've got nothing to prove and they've realized it. They let the customer feel like they're in control because they've partnered with the customer. They speak with intention, they ask real questions, and they know that trust isn't a tactic, it's a transfer of emotional safety. You feel good around them. You lean into them as a customer. You want to buy from them even as another consultant. That's the power of leading without the ego, is the ability to allow the customer's anxieties to eviscerate away, while it also enables them to give themselves permission to buy and allow for their little bit of ego that didn't drive the system. Imagine that, the customer's ego bubbling up, and then they want it, and nothing can hold them back from putting that vehicle in their driveway. Not the price, not the product, and not even the nice person that they're talking to. Let's tie this all together. Ego is not your identity. You don't need to walk around with that thing all the time. You're not your commission slip. You're not the number on the leaderboard. You're not the expert because you said you were the expert. You're the expert when the customer believes you're the expert. So if you feel yourself getting defensive, anxious, competitive, or snarky, just pause. Zoom out to 50,000 feet for a quick second and just do a personal buddy check with yourself here. Am I helping right now? Or am I protecting my own image? Because only one of those things builds trust. And that's help. This job is hard enough. Don't make it harder by getting in your own way. You don't have to perform. You don't have to prove. But you do have to show up with real listening, real care, and enough humility to make the customer feel like that they are the most important person in the room. And when they feel that they are, they buy, they refer, and they remember. That's the game. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Head on over to AutoKnerd.com or take a look in those show notes. You'll find the link to the newsletter on in there so you can receive that Saturday morning AutoKnerd dispatch. That is going to be the tool that hopefully helps orient us and get us in the right headspace so we can crush it every Saturday when we hit that sales floor. This is Andrew Sardone with AutoKnerd. I'll see you next Thursday.